Good afternoon or good morning or whenever you're watching this. This is Jim Watts with the Tulsa World Scene Department here with Jimmy Trammell, also of the Tulsa Scene Department, talking about whatever strikes our fancy this particular day. And what's on your agenda for this week, Jimmy?
Well, we've passed an anniversary because March 12th, 2020 was the time that the music world changed in Tulsa, in that KISS was here for a concert that never took place on March. They were in town on March 12th, 2020. And by that time, COVID had announced its arrival. And the guys from KISS were here thinking, well, should the show go on or should it not go on? And ultimately they decided the show should not go on. And I've always wondered what it would have been like to be a fly on the wall, you know, when those discussions were taking place of do you play or do you not play? And thankfully, Paul Stanley from KISS has a project out and is available for interviews. And so I visited with Paul Stanley from KISS about those discussions in Tulsa, March 12th, 2020, and his new project he's got coming out.
Okay. Are there some things that you talked about that aren't in the story that you might share about things he said about, I don't know, playing Tulsa in the past? Or
no, I know they have history here, you know, dating back to a long time ago when somebody tossed something on the stage and
right.
so forth. But they did not hold that against Tulsa. They've been back many times since.
Have you gone to many or any KISS concerts?
I think I've been to 2 or 3 in Tulsa, including one at the Hard Rock, because I wanted to see how the big stage show translated into such a, you know, a more medium-sized venue, you know, where they still have the same pyrotechnics and everything. But they always put on a great show. I mean, they have their critics, but what they do, people love.
Well, I remember one of our former colleagues, Thomas Connor, talking about going to a KISS show, and I think he got kind of teased about it because he was into the real esoteric, off the wall pop stuff. But he said something that stuck with me. He says that they know how to put on a show. And that's what it is. It's the music is almost, you know, not as important as the spectacle when you're there in the theater. And I speak strictly on a hypothetical basis because I've never been to a KISS show, but I've seen enough and heard enough of it to have kind of an idea.
Someone of a younger vintage asked me, what's the deal with KISS? And I said, well, you almost had to be there in the 70s when they popped, because they were superheroes. They were bigger than life. They were on, you know, Paul Lynde's Halloween special and all that good stuff. But the first time I saw them live and Gene Simmons came on stage in those platform boots, you know, and doing all his business, he was larger than life. You would have sworn that guy was 9 feet tall on stage. And they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for a reason, and they took arena rock to a whole new level.
Yeah, it's not so much that they redefined something, is they created something unique. You know, there's never going to be, I think, another KISS, like there's never going to be another Beatles. You know, it's just this confluence of people that had the vision that was necessary to accomplish something that is unique.
Sure, absolutely. Well,
what
do you have going on this week?
Well, I was going to ask you, do you have a favorite KISS song?
Typically anyone that makes you turn up the radio, that's a good song. Man, it's a good question. The ones that have been overplayed, we're almost biased against. Like, you don't want to say rock and roll all night because it's been played forever.
Sure. I do have a favorite KISS song, and it's okay. It's Hard Luck Woman, which they wrote for Rod Stewart, and you can tell. I mean, it's written in the style of what he was doing with songs like Maggie May and You Wear It Well. You almost can hear the mandolin in the background, but I don't think there's a mandolin.
Yeah. Huh.
But anyway, but that song's always, I always thought that was was a decent song. Well, speaking of anniversary, the on March 14th of last year, the Tulsa Symphony was planning on doing a Star Wars concert where they would play the score, the John Williams score, while the movie played on the screen above them. It was sold out, had been sold out for weeks, probably months. And it wasn't until that Saturday morning, the day of the concert, that the order came down to all public facilities like theaters can close. So a year ago to the day, which was this past Sunday, the Tulsa Symphony were on the stage of the Chapman Music Hall. They had an audience of, if there was 100, that'd be probably generous. I was one of them. And they performed the concert that will be broadcast March 27 and 28 on, on KWTU 88.7 FM. It's their second concert that they've done strictly for radio broadcast. And it features Brahms Symphony No. 4 and the Scottish Fantasy by Bruck, which Rosita Goza, who's the orchestra concertmaster, is going to play. Those two works were going to be part of an October 19 concert at One Oak Field that got rained out. And that was a cold, wet, and miserable day. And the day of the concert, or the day of the recording this past week, was another rainy day. And I remember Keith Elder, the orchestra CEO, saying it seems like Brooks and Brahms brings rain. So, but the concert itself went off well, and it's something to check out, not this weekend, but next weekend. So
good. Awesome. So, well, and I don't know, obviously when people see the videos and what day they see our stories, but you may remember something I'm writing about in Friday's paper as well. If I said the rural purge.
Yes. Taking the country out of CBS.
There you go. Yeah. But there's something people can see about how TV really changed in 1971, because CBS killed basically every one of those country shows that were big for it in the 1970s.
And some of them I like were number one. I don't know if it was number one when it was canceled, but like Beverly Hillbillies, of all things, was the number one show for years.
Yeah, I mean, those shows were cash money for CBS in the 1960s. One year they had 14 of the 15 highest rated shows in the Nielsen ratings, which has to be a record. I can't imagine you would monopolize more than that, but they changed, pulled the plug, and we get Mary Tyler Moore, MASH, and All in the Family. So I guess you can't really complain.
It was a seismic shift. Because I mean, I remember as a kid that first All in the Family, and it affected my mother greatly. She said it was kind of like going back home, but probably says more about my extended family than I should go into here. So we'll draw a veil, gentle reader, over everything that comes next. Check out the stories. We'll have an interview with Rosita Goza as well on Sunday about the concert. So check all that out. Thank you for watching, all 5 of you. And we will probably do this again next week. So take care.